Actually, it's an honor, and thank you for the opportunity. Welcome everyone to Data Minutes version 2. You guys know my session is deploying SQL Server Docker container. So I don't have live session. I copy it because it's I have 10 minutes and I want to provide the concept behind it. Who am I? I am Jean-Joseph. I am currently located in New Jersey, originally from Haiti. I'm the founder of a data-driven community. If you guys want to learn more about me, this is my LinkedIn profile. If you want to connect with me, my Twitter, and this is my community. And if you want to email me, feel free to do that. Our overview for today is that we're going to talk about I will do a basic introduction to SQL Server Docker container and concept, and then show you the difference between a container and a VM, and also explain to you the container deployment model, give some demo and key takeaway. We cannot talk more about SQL Server container without introducing Docker. Docker is an open platform for developing, shipping, and running application. It allows you to separate your application from your infrastructure so you can deliver software quickly. With Docker, you can manage your infrastructure in the same way like you used to. For you, and then if you take the advantage of Docker for shipping and testing and development code, it will be faster and more efficient. So what is a container? When we're looking at a container, for example, is a way to package application with all necessary dependencies and configuration. It is portable, easy to share, and move around. It makes development and deployment more efficient. What I mean by you don't have to worry if your application works fine on development and then during the deployment, you don't really have to worry because all necessary dependencies and configuration ship into one package. So that's means you don't have to worry. It doesn't matter where you share your image. Guess what happened? It will still work. And then a container is a running environment for image. So what I mean by when you pull or download an image, it is just an image sit on your desired location. However, if you want to have a container, you will need to run a command to so once you run the command, once the image state change to running, it is a container. When you stop it, it is just a VM, an image, sorry. So it composed of three concepts. There's elements. The first one is the file system. The second one is environment config, and the third one is application image. So what's the main difference between VMware and Docker? Both of them require infrastructure. You will need hardware to install OS, and both of them require that. So if you're looking at here, this is where the difference starts. For VMware, you have to install the hypervisor. For Docker, you have to install the Docker daemon, and then the Docker is ready to be utilized. The reason why is Docker virtualize your operating system, whereas VMware virtualize your hardware. Because VMware virtualize your hardware, you cannot start packaging. For example, if you're looking at here, I can start using, for example, my application, building my custom image, testing, do all kind of cool stuff. But on the VMware side, I cannot do that because I will need to install OS on each VM, and this requires a minimum resources. If you look each OS, let's say if this is required 2 vCPU, 4 gig of RAM, let's say 8 gigs of storage, you can clearly see how much resources, and you can allocate those resources to a container, to an image, or to a container. Okay, so once you install this, and that's where you can start packaging, installing, and do all kind of cool stuff if you want to leverage Docker, and then also all your application. But if you're looking at here, you can clearly see there's resources being wasted. So what are the steps to deploy a Docker container? There's 3 steps. The first step is to find out the image, the version of the image that you want to use. And in our case, we're using SQL Server. Microsoft would be our hub. So first of all, you have to install it. And then there's, I have some link. When I share this slide deck, you will be able to access to those links and do that. So once you find out the image you want to use for your application, you have to pull that image. Once you pull that image will sit there. So it will just an image. In order for you to convert that image into container, you have to run Docker run command. In our case, it's SQL Server. There will be some parameter like required. You cannot run a container without accepting the license. Second, you cannot run it, for example, without providing the SA password. So if you're looking at here, this is a few demo. You can clearly see if you want to pull an image, that's how you can pull it. It is downloading. However, if you want to run that container out of that image, this is the command you have to use. If you're looking at this is Docker run, this is the name, the container ID. The reason why I put D is that you want it to run in the background. It will just provide you an container ID, and this is the license for the parameter. You have to accept it. That's just an environment. And the second environment that is required as well is the SA password. And then this is the port that you want to map it. And then this is the image that you want to download. If you want to interact with it, you can interact with it like a normal terminal. You have to use Docker exec.id. This is you want to interact with it, so you just pass the container name, and then guess what happened? This command is very familiar with us. We have to put the server name, user, password, and the query. If you want to start a container, this is how you can start a single container. This is how you can start a single container. This is how you can remove or delete a container. This is how you can remove an image. If you want to read log to know more about it, this is the command you can use, Docker log container. And then Docker ps -a, sorry. The -a give lists all, for example, the running and static container. If you remove that -a, it will list only the running container. I forgot to remove this, just remember that. For Docker run will do 2 things. It's gonna pull the image and start the container. Let's say if you didn't pull the image, and what happened when you execute Docker run, it's gonna check to see if that image exists. If that image does not exist, it's gonna go and download it and run it for you as a container. However, if you're looking at these are single script. If you have a tons of container that you have to provide, I don't think you will spend time doing it like this. So you have to think of Dockerfile and Docker Compose. Dockerfile is a single text file that contains the command a user called to assemble an image. If you're looking at for Compose, Compose is a tool for defining and running multiple container Docker application. For example, Docker Compose define the services. Let's say if you have an application that require more than 2-3 different version for SQL Server or running SQL Server, running Postgres, or running Oracle. You can have compile all of this into that Docker Compose YAML file and maintain all your services and start them, stop them at the same time. So with one single command, for example, like you can see, if you're looking at, we can build, we can remove, we can bring it up and down, we can compose, start, stop. We can, for example, run. We can use Docker Compose exec. We can do it tons of that. This is the log, and then we can overwrite the existing configuration as well. So speaking of Docker, what would be the difference between Docker versus Kubernetes? If you're looking at Docker is an isolated environment for application, whereas Kubernetes is an infrastructure for managing multiple containers. Docker is automated building and deploying application. Like if you're looking at here, it is automated scheduling and management of application container. And then for container platform, for Docker container, it's a platform for configuring, building, and distributing containers. If you're looking at for Kubernetes, it is ecosystem for managing a cluster of Docker container. And then if you want to go beyond, like for production, I would highly suggest to use Kubernetes. But if you want to start any development or there's a new SQL Server available, a new feature, new cumulative update, if there is, for example, any image that come with that, I always wanted to, start playing with it and see what can I benefit. And these are some key takeaways. Make sure, for example, your base image is specific to your application, not its environment, because even though an image, it's easy to run a Docker, if you make it complex, it may take some time to run, which I have seen. Use environment variable to set up environment specific aspect, and then make individual container disposal. Do not run multiple lines within one line when using Docker file. And then use Docker Compose file wherever possible. Use extend command to break Docker Compose file if it's too big. This is very complicated. This is very important. And then these are the resources. It is 10 minutes, guys. I just keep it very simple, but I do blog me about it if you want to go advanced beyond this presentation. So feel free to do that. Your feedback is very important. Don't forget to do that. Thank you so much. If you guys have any question, feel free to let me know and I'll be happy to answer if I can.